parents and school board trustees are punished for not supporting woke ideology in schools. Canada continues to push the COVID jabs on pregnant women. Our elected officials continue to misuse our tax dollars to their sole benefit. All over Canada, wokeness brings with it devastating effects. Broken and corrupted Canadian institutions. That's what this episode is all about. Our goal, as always, is to bring you news, culture, and politics from a distinctly Christian, conservative, and Canadian perspective. It's June 10th. I'm Andrew DiBartolo. This is Liberty Dispatch News Brief.
Attention all you salespeople, account executives, and entrepreneurs. You're probably driving from one client meeting to another right now. That's why you need Sales Nexus. Sales Nexus lets you automate everything except the one thing you're great at, building relationships with customers. Do more of that. Grow sales faster. Build customer relationships that put your kids through college. Sales Nexus will automate emails and text messages while you're closing deals. Sales Nexus is the salesperson's best friend. Try Sales Nexus free for 30 days at salesnexus.com.
Today's episode of Liberty Dispatch News Brief is all about one thing: Canada's broken systems and institutions. So, let's get right into it. First, our failed and flunked education system. The National Council of Canadian Muslims announced that the Toronto District School Board will officially recognize anti-Palestinian racism. The group said this in a statement, quote, "Thanks to our community's advocacy, the TDSB is taking action. Last week, trustees passed a motion that marks a historic step forward in recognizing anti-Palestinian racism in schools." Close quote. This is from the Post-Millennial. Quote, "The decision follows pressure from advocacy organizations, as well as a report from the Ontario Ministry of Education. The review, led by Assistant Deputy Minister Patrick Case, examined a September 2024 student field trip to the Grassy Narrows River Run. While the trip was framed as an Indigenous solidarity event, it also seemingly doubled as a pro-Palestinian protest. Backlash followed after the school took students on a field trip to an anti-Israel, pro-Gaza protest. Media attention amplified the backlash. The review from the Assistant Deputy Minister then determined that the backlash against the protest-oriented field trip was actually racism in action. The motion, introduced by trustees Nathan Sean King and Michelle Dawson, outlines a series of key actions, including a mandatory professional development course for trustees and senior leadership focused on the erasure of Palestinians in school life, an accelerated timeline for addressing anti-Palestinian racism in the board's anti-hate strategy, with a full action plan due by October 2025, and a final report and policy update on field trip procedures, ensuring compliance with board rules and adequate oversight for politically sensitive excursions. Close quote. By the way, if you love your kids, get them out of state-funded schools pronto. This next story is from Rebel News. Quote, "Despite legal action taken against its decision, the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board is doubling down on punishing one of its parent council members for her refusal to participate in an unsolicited land acknowledgement during a school council meeting on April 9th. Catherine Croness, an Ancaster High Secondary School parent who was re-elected to serve on the council, stated this while virtually attending the meeting. Quote, "In my view, the board's imposition of a land acknowledgement during our school council meetings undermines the democratic process and constitutes a form of compelled speech which I believe contravenes the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. There is no school board policy mandating its inclusion," she said. Despite the peaceful objection to being compelled to engage in such speech and the meeting continuing as normal thereafter, Croness was suspended on May 22nd, nearly a full month after the incident. The board alleges that she caused harm and breached a code of conduct policy. Close quote. Finally, this next doozy is from Juno News. Quote, Waterloo Region District School Board staff are being trained that the word family is a harmful concept rooted in white supremacy. Internal training materials delivered to the staff at Waterloo Oxford District Secondary School by the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation, which asserts that terms like objectivity, perfectionism, and worship of the written word are hallmarks of whiteness and upholding white supremacy. Quoting from Culturally Relevant Pedagogy by Laura May Lindo, one slide states that biases are the socialized teachings of the white culture, and we use key words and phrases to promote the dominant culture. One of the offensive words in question is family, which is said to be harmful to racialized students because it implies male authority, demands obedience without question, and erodes personal boundaries by prioritizing the family's needs. Another slide asserts that asking for evidence for claims of racism or acknowledging racism toward white people is a characteristic of whiteness that must be dismantled. Close quote. State-funded education is broken beyond repair. It's time to abandon it and let it implode due to its own absurdity. How about our medical systems? Well, they're on life support and basically dead at this point. This is from LifeSite News. Quote, in a June 1st post on X, Amy Ham announced that the British Columbia College of Nurses and Midwives is seeking $163,000 in legal costs after firing her without severance after she was found guilty of unprofessional conduct when she publicly voiced the immutable truth that sex is based on biology. Ham found herself targeted by the BCCNM in 2020 when she co-sponsored a billboard reading, I Heart J.K. Rowling. This sign was a nod to the famous British author's public comments defending women's private spaces from being used by gender-confused men. The BCCNM accused Ham of making discriminatory and derogatory statements regarding so-called transgender people, while identifying herself as a nurse or nurse educator. According to the college, Ham's statements were made across various online platforms, including but not limited to podcasts, videos, published writings, and social media between July 2018 and March 2021, close quote. This next story from the Globe and Mail is so woke that in the title, they have to say pregnant people instead of what everyone with common sense knows it really is, pregnant women. Truly astonishing. Quote, Canadian doctors are emphasizing that routine COVID-19 vaccinations are not only safe and effective, but recommended for pregnant people, countering the approach taken by American officials. Doreen Elshar, a maternal-fetal medicine specialist at the Ottawa Hospital, said, these are safe vaccines. These have been well documented to be effective in pregnancy, similar to non-pregnant people. They actually have more benefits because of pregnant people's vulnerable immune status. In an age of growing misinformation and disinformation, the SOGC strongly urges that vaccine decisions, including during pregnancy, be guided by evidence-based science and clinical expertise, close quote. I couldn't agree more. The experimental gene therapy injections are ineffective at preventing you from getting COVID, but wholly effective at destroying your heart and attacking your ovaries. We have this story from the Epoch Times. Quote, the COVID-19 pandemic led to a significant shift in parental views on vaccination, with approximately half of parents surveyed citing concerns about vaccine side effects, a government report suggests. The report from the Public Health Agency of Canada on vaccine uptake said the pandemic yielded a large shift in Canadians' knowledge, attitudes, and beliefs toward vaccinations. Half of those surveyed agreed with the statement, in general, I'm concerned about the potential side effects from vaccines for children. 19% said that they strongly agreed with the statement. The February 6 report, first covered by Blacklock's reporter, found that there has recently been a high prevalence of hesitancy towards both COVID-19 vaccines and regular vaccinations among certain populations. It said monitoring of parental attitudes is needed to predict expected vaccine uptake and to guide education and awareness efforts to promote vaccination among children issued from these specific populations, close quote. When you lie about the jab and tell people to disregard what we've known about viruses and health for centuries, while also saying that preborn babies are clumps of cells and men can be women, don't be surprised when people trust you less. Being a member of our audience, you most likely do research, watch videos, and read articles that contain good and true scientific and economic facts. But these would be sources that some people in positions of power would call a fringe minority with unacceptable views. The truth is, protecting your privacy as you engage in the online world should be a high priority for you. I want to help your online security with something that is actually safe and effective, and that is Private Internet Access, the world's most transparent VPN provider. A VPN, or virtual private network, hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. So, say you wanted to donate money to a lawful and peaceful trucker protest in Ottawa, and you didn't want the Liberal government tracking you down and freezing your bank accounts. A VPN would be your friend, just as any Canadian would. Private Internet Access will also never record or store user data, and their no logs policy has been proven multiple times in court and by a third-party audit. It's very easy to use. Simply open up the app, click to connect, and that's it. PIA VPN is available for all platforms: Windows, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and many more. You'll also get to protect your entire household with one subscription. Our audience has access to an amazing special offer. If you sign up with Private Internet Access by clicking on the link below and going to piavpn.com/Liberty Dispatch, you will grab a discount of 83%. That's just $2.03 a month, and you'll also get 4 extra months completely free. I don't know if you've seen the price of eggs recently, but $2.03 a month for online peace of mind is incredible. Signing up for Private Internet Access is risk-free. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and 24/7 customer support is available, so don't wait any longer. Protect your personal data, get out of Big Brother's sight, go to piavpn.com/Liberty Dispatch to get 83% off Private Internet Access with 4 free months. Our legislative systems are also broken, and our elected officials are thoroughly corrupt and self-serving. This first story is from the Western Standard. Quote, "The federal bureaucracy has expanded by 98,986 employees over the past decade, reaching a total of 357,965 workers, according to new figures released by the Treasury Board of Canada Secretariat. Despite a modest reduction of 9,807 employees in the last year, the federal workforce remains 38% higher than it was in 2016. The last thing Canadians need is a bloated government full of highly paid paper pushers," said Franco Terrazzano, federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. He also said if politicians want to provide tax relief and start paying down the federal debt, they need to shrink government bureaucracy, close quote. In Ontario, MPPs have decided that not only do they need more bureaucrats, but that everyone needs more money as well. Not average Canadians like you and I. No. Just our betters in elected office. This is from City News. Quote, "The Ford government has moved to give all Ontario MPPs a 35% raise after a 16-year freeze, as well as changing how provincial politicians receive their pensions, marking an uncommon spirit of agreement among all representatives. Finance Minister Peter Bethel-Falvey tabled legislation at Queen's Park on Thursday to end a cap on salary raises that was initially put in place in 2009 under the previous Liberal government led by former Premier Dalton McGuinty, bringing provincial representatives closer to what federal MPs earn. MPPs from all parties backed the measure minutes after it was introduced. Under this new legislation, MPPs will earn a base salary of $157,350. Further yearly increases would be tied as a percentage to what federal representatives receive. For example, if MPs get a 3% increase, then so would MPPs. The goal of the legislation would involve keeping MPP base salaries at 75% of what an MP earns, close quote. Finally, Here's a clip of recently elected MP Andrew Lawton asking our public safety minister, the one in charge of gun control legislation and who wants to take away more firearms and redefine licensing, to define some simple terms related to firearms and firearms licenses. As you would expect, the public safety minister is a buffoon.
Honourable member.
Does the minister have an RPAL?
Minister.
Can you repeat that question?
Honourable member.
I'll rephrase, Chair. Does the minister know what an RPAL is?
Honourable minister.
I do not.
Member.
Does the minister know what the CFSC is?
Honourable minister.
I do not. No.
Member.
I'll stipulate, Chair, that is the Canadian firearm safety course that all gun owners in Canada have to do to get their firearms license. Has the minister ever done the Canadian firearm safety course?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, it's my third week on the job. No, I have not.
The Honourable Member.
Does the minister know what safety classes and safety demands are expected of law-abiding Canadian gun owners?
The Honourable Minister.
This is not about law-abiding gun owners, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member.
How can the minister make that claim when he doesn't know the basic fundamentals of law-abiding gun ownership in this country, Chair?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Bill 21 is meant to get serious, dangerous weapons off our streets.
The Honourable Member, very briefly, and just confirming that he's splitting his time 3 ways.
Chair, will the minister commit to taking the Canadian firearm safety course so he'll know what he's talking about?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I do not intend to purchase a firearm or use a firearm.
This next story is from the Post Millennial, and I'm not going to tell you who you should and should not fly with, but if you want the safest flight possible, you might want to pause before you book with Air Canada. Quote, Air Canada marked the beginning of Pride Month by operating its first ever all 2S LGBTQIA+ flight. The flight, which comprised entirely of crew and staff who identify as two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex, asexual, or similar identities, was highlighted in a video shared on social media. Air Canada celebrated the event, calling it a heartfelt celebration reflecting our unwavering commitment to inclusivity and equality in the air and on the ground. Air Canada has embraced progressive gender policies in recent years. 6 years ago, it removed the phrase ladies and gentlemen from its in-flight announcements, replacing it with the more neutral hello everyone. At the time, Air Canada defended the move as an effort to modernize and remove gender-specific language, according to the Daily Mail. Close quote. And finally, the housing market ain't looking so good these days. This is from the Toronto Star. Quote, more Ontarians are missing mortgage payments than at any time since Equifax started tracking them in 2012, according to new data from the credit agency. Delinquencies are really still rising on the mortgage side, said Rebecca Oakes, Vice President of Advanced Analytics at Equifax Canada. She continued, we're still very concerned about those. Ontario's 90-plus day mortgage delinquency rate rose 71.5% since the first quarter of 2024 and 0.24% from 0.14%. Alison Kemper, an associate professor at Toronto Metropolitan University's Ted Rogers School of Management, called this enormously concerning. There's not enough missing middle housing in between larger detached homes and small condo units. Prices are still very high, and what is being built is aimed at investors, she added. So people end up taking on huge debts to find a decent place to live. Nationally, the mortgage delinquency rate is at its highest level since 2016-2017. Nationally, missed payments continued to rise on credit cards, and more than 1.4 million consumers, that's 1 in 22, missed at least one credit payment during the first quarter of the year. New mortgage originations were up 66% in the first quarter of 2025 compared to the same time last year in Ontario, and about 58% nationally, close quote. Now, there is some great news in all of this, and that is that so long as Christians obey God, align their lives to His word, we'll be just fine. We'll educate our kids properly, we'll take care of our physical health and well-being, and will not fall victim to worldly woes that come from rejecting God and His Word. You have to remember, there will always be light in the land of Goshen. Well, there you are, friends. You are all up to date. Make sure to head over to piavpn.com/Liberty Dispatch to get 83% off of an amazing VPN to protect your privacy. Head over to mission.bullbitcoin.com/dispatch to take control of your finances today. And make sure you head to our Substack over at ldcanada.substack.com to subscribe to our mailing list and also support the show. Until next time, Galatians 5:1.